Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Dastardly Dirigibles. So, Dastardly Dirigibles is by Justin DeWitt. Show you his name right there. And it was published by Fireside Games. Now, this is a very heavily steampunk-themed game. If you're a big fan of steampunk stuff, you know that Zeppelins show up quite a bit in that whole retro-futurism kind of time period, and this is a game about building cool airships. At its core, though, it is a set collection game. The different parts of the airships are cards, and you collect them and try to match suits, if you will, to get extra points. It also has some interesting cards that are attack cards, so you can mess with your opponents. But let's discuss some of the basics, shall we? This game is listed as being a 1-hour game for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up. So let's start there. Now, I have played this game at 2 players several times, and I have played this game at 4 players several times, and I have to say, the game plays well at different sizes. Often, companies will put out clearly multiplayer games and throw the 2 players on there just because they really want you to buy it, and the 2 players is an extra selling point. It's an extra way you can play the game. But that's not the case with this. This plays fine as a 2-player game. This plays fine as a 4-player game. So that is a true statement when they say 2 to 5 players. 1 hour is very dependent. The game requires you to play 3 rounds. Now, at a 2-player size, this is less than an hour. 3 rounds goes really quickly. Can even be half an hour. But when you get a larger number of players, for instance 4, or I haven't yet played it at 5, it's going to go over an hour. So it really should have a range for that listing. But you know, hour might be an average. Hour might be good for 3-player size. And for the ages 8 and up, this is a pretty good estimate. The game is not super complicated. There's not a huge amount of rules. This is a good medium, easy to learn game, medium amount of time game that you can play on game night in between some bigger games or in between some smaller games. I mean, depending on what you lean towards. Some people really like quick games. Some people really like long, involved games. I like both. This is somewhere in the middle. So let's have a look at some of the components. I'm going to open up the box. Now, the first thing you see is the rule book, of course. Very important. I mean, without it, you don't know how to play. The next thing is it comes with 5 of these. On one side they say Dastardly Dirigibles, and on the other it looks like a blueprint for your Zeppelin. Now, this is a very important component. Each player gets one of these, and this is where you lay out the design for your Zeppelin. Very important part of the game. It's basically your personal board, if you will. Everybody gets one. And as you see, underneath each of the sections of the Zeppelin, that section of the Zeppelin is named from nose cone to tail, and the only thing that is doubled up is lift engines. Lift engines are interesting because you can actually put a lift engine in either place there. And again, like I said, there are 5 of these because every player has to have one. Now, the main component of the game, other than the blueprint, which, like I said, is your personal board, is the deck of cards. Now, the deck of cards is made up of 2 varieties of cards. The first variety of cards is pieces of airships. Let me show you a few of those. So here we have a nose cone, and up there you see that stylized key. That's the suit for this nose cone. Here we have a lift engine from the same suit. Here we have a wild card that is a drive engine. And get a few more to show you some different suits. Here's a different suit gondola front there. I like that this gondola kind of looks like the Nautilus from the old 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea movie. And just want to show a couple different suits here. Here is a lift engine from the goggles suit there. And here is a tailpiece from the wrench suit there. Those ones all look like they're made out of hard steel. I'm not sure how they would fly, but there you are. Then the other kind of card that is in the deck are these kind of attack cards that you get to do. Let me show you a few of those. So they look like this. They have the same back. It's in the same deck. But they let you do interesting things. For instance, okay, so here's a card called Transmutation. And it reads, when an opponent plays an airship part, play this card and any airship part of your choice from your hand to your airship. So it lets you do a special action. And here's one called Thief. And it says, take one part of your choice from another airship and add it to your hand. So it allows you to steal a piece of one of your opponent's airships. So these are all the components. There's not much to it. It's a fairly small box. You've got a deck of cards. You've got your personal boards. You've got the rule book. And that's it. So let's head over. I'm going to show you how the game is played. Then we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to rate it and review it. And we'll get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, so here we see a setup for 3 players for a game of Dastardly Dirigibles. Every player gets their own personal board and is dealt a 5-card hand from the deck. Of course, the deck has to be shuffled. Now, the next thing that is done is you deal a card out from the deck to each player face up, and this will both create the Emporium, which is like a draw out in the middle of the table, and also help you decide who goes first. So in this case, I'm going to reshuffle that one because that was a really weird, I'll keep the first card there, a really weird draw, not a normal one at all. I'm just going to change it up a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so let's say these are the 3 cards that are dealt out to everybody. Now, if you get a special card, that card automatically is the worst in regard to initiative. It is no way going to be first. What you want to do is you want to have the card that is closest to the front of the airship. So in this case, this counts as being even behind the tail. Then we've got a lift engine. Now, in the case of a lift engine, that's actually a good example because you can decide to have that lift engine either the first lift engine and therefore be the second card in the dirigible, or the second to last card in the dirigible. However, this player here got a nose cone. Nose cone is going first. So, all the cards become the Emporium. The reason I swapped that out is because 2 of the 3 cards were special cards, these attack cards, on the first time I dealt it out. And I didn't want to show that. I didn't think that was a very good example because that doesn't happen that often. Usually most people have Zeppelin parts. Okay, so that means this player is going to go first. Now, the first thing you do on your turn is you draw up to a 5-card hand. If you have less than 5 cards, you draw until you have 5, but of course everybody has 5 now, so we skip that. Then you have the ability to take 3 actions. Your possible actions are to play an airship part, which then everybody else has to play the same part of the airship if they have it in their hand. You can discard a card to get rid of some stuff, because remember, on your next turn you get to draw up to 5, so if you want to just get rid of things, you can discard them. Or you can swap a card from your hand with the Emporium. Any card in the Emporium. So take a look over there and be like, okay, I want that card, and you can take it, and that's great. And there's also the idea that you can completely replace the Emporium if there's something in there you want to keep an opponent from getting, or that you're hoping just to get some better cards to maybe swap with. You can do that as an action. Also, if you don't want to use all of your actions, you can always pass on your actions. So for the first action, for the first player, they're going to take a look at their hand, and they're going to play a nose cone. So, boom, nose cone goes down, everybody else takes a look. Do I have a nose cone, they say. So let's see. The first player doesn't, the second player over here does have a nose cone, so they're going to throw that out. And then the final player over here is going to take a look. Do I have a nose cone? Do I? No. So they don't play anything. Now that free play can be good and it can be bad. That player just threw out a nose cone. If they wanted that nose cone, it's a very good thing. But when you play a card on your Zeppelin, if you already had a card of that type, it's going to replace it. So if they already had a nose cone, and the nose cone they already had was something they really wanted for the Zeppelin they're trying to build, that could be really, really bad. So
there you go. Could be good, could be bad, the fact that you're forced to play things on your opponent's turn. Now for the second thing, they've decided, you know what, I'm going to play a lift engine. So again, everybody is going to take a look. Do I have a lift engine? In this case, yes. Now again, could play it on the other lift engine, so he's going to play it on the rear lift engine there. And also, again, yes. Now if you have multiple lift engines, as you can see, this player has 2 lift engines. You can decide which one to play. It's up to you. So they're going to play a lift engine right there. One more action for the first player. They're going to play a rear gondola. So that goes there. Again, everybody else checks. Do I have a rear gondola? Do I have a rear gondola? In the case of this player, they do not. In the case of this player, they do. They do have a gondola rear. So they throw that out. Now this player is done. They've done their actions. Now we move on to the next player. The next player takes a look at their hand and they get to draw up to the 5 cards, which actually is important now because they got to throw a couple cards out on their opponent's turn. When they draw, they take them one at a time. It can either be from the top of the deck and therefore mysterious, or from the Emporium. So they're going to take a quick look over here and see what is this special card here. We have a mechanician. Perform 1 additional action. Ooh, I want that. They're going to take that and they immediately replace it with another card. Oh, it's another special card. Black Market. Search the discard pile for 1 card of your choice and put it into your hand. Now, there is no discard pile yet, so they're not going to take that because that's not as interesting for them right now. But they are going to look out there, and you know what? They're going to take this lift engine here as their final card. They now have 5 cards in their hand, and they're ready to do their actions. So for the first action, they're going to drop a lift engine. So again, everybody else has to see, do we have lift engines to play? So in the case of the player over here, they say, yes, I have a lift engine to play. They throw it out. In the case of the player over here, they take a look and they say, yes, I have a lift engine to play. They throw it out. There we go. Then this player is going to say, for my second action, I would like to play a second lift engine. Now, this will replace the one that's already on the ship. Get rid of it. It gets discarded. And everybody else, again, has to check. Do I have a lift engine? In this case, they have a lift engine, which again means they have to replace something. They have 2 lift engines already out. So what? That one's going to go away. So that's what I'm talking about. If they really wanted this lift engine, that could be a problem for them. Then the last player is going to take a look and does not have any lift engines. So they're not going to play anything. So that's their second action. For their third and final action, they're going to play mechanician, which says this does not count as an action and you get an additional action, which means they get to play 2 more actions. So they're going to play a tail. This player has no cards left, so obviously can't play anything. This player has no tail in their hand, so they don't play anything. And then they're going to play a drive engine as a 4th action. Again, they have nothing, and they don't have any drive engines. Then they're out of actions. So now we move on, and they're also out of cards. So we move on to the final player who gets to draw 3 cards. So the final player is going to take the Black Market, because that is a useful card for them now that there is a discard pile. I'm going to replace that. Let's see what we got going on. We got a couple keys going on. Those are useful. There's no keys out here, though. So they're going to take some mysterious cards from the deck, hoping to get some from the suit with the keys. And unfortunately, they did not. So, but they're going to play this one here, Gondola Front. Nobody else has any hands no cards in their hands, so they're not going to play anything. So they're going to take a look. They've got pretty good stuff going on here. They're going to discard this Gondola Front because they don't want to have to play it over that one. That is their second action. And then they're going to, as their third action, they're going to play Black Market, and they're going to search the discard pile for a card to put in their hand and look. There's a lift engine of the suit they're trying to go for. So they're going to take that, and that's their third action. Now that is a turn for every player in a 3-player game of Dastardly Dirigibles. You keep going around the table like this. On the next player's turn, who actually wound up with a fully empty hand, that doesn't happen often, he's going to get to draw 5 whole cards, either from the Emporium or from the deck, their choice. You go around the table until somebody completes a Zeppelin. As soon as a Zeppelin is completed, you're all going to score your Zeppelins for that round. Now, the way you score the Zeppelins for the round is that you see what suit you have the most in. So, for instance, if we look at this Zeppelin here, let's say someone else had finished up their Zeppelin and we're scoring now. You get 2 points for every card of the suit you have the most of. So in this case, we've got 2 of these cards with the key suits. That's 2 points for each. You then also get 1 point for every wild card. So we have a wild card there. That's 1 point. So that would be a total of 5 points in this example. Now, if you have something that is very difficult to do, it's called a muddle, which I actually was playing this character here as trying to get the muddle. As you can see, they have currently 1 each of 4 different suits. If you want to get a muddle, you literally have to have 1 each of every suit, no wild cards, on your Zeppelin. If you score a muddle, muddles are really, really hard to do, but if you score a muddle, you're going to get a flat 20 points, which is huge, because that's way more than almost anybody usually gets for a single round of Dastardly Dirigibles. So sometimes it can be very tempting if you get a starting hand of 5 cards like this player did, and they're all different suits in all different parts of the Zeppelin, you may really want to try to go for that muddle, and that's what this player decided to do. They decided to try to go for the muddle. Now, there are some bonus points you can get after you count up your regular points or you get your 20 points for the muddle, though the muddle doesn't usually get to take any part of bonus points. The bonus points are as follows. If you complete the airship first, excuse me, if you are the, whoops, as I'm on the wrong page here for the bonus points. There we go. Okay, if you are the first person to complete your airship, you get 2 bonus points. If you completed your airship in the same turn that the first person who completed their airship completed it, because again, remember, you get to play the same type of card they just played, you get 1 bonus point. Muddles don't get these. You don't get to get bonus points with a muddle. There is a card called the Gilded Dynamator, which on it, it says if you've got it in your hand at the end of a round, you get 1 bonus point. So you count up the points, you write them down on a piece of paper. That's your score for the first round. You shuffle it up again and you play a second round. You shuffle it up again and you play a third round. The highest score out of all 3 rounds wins the game. A quick note on muddles, I just wanted to throw out, Lynn loves to go for the muddle, and she's actually done it. And she won the whole game because of it. The first time we played a game of this, it was a 4-player game. We were all playing, trying to get the most of our suit. First round, Lynn lost horribly because she was trying to get the muddle and she failed. Second round, she got the muddle. And those 20 points were just insurmountable when we got to the third round, because in the third round she played to get not the muddle anymore, but actually max out one of the suits. So she had 1 round where she got very little points, 1 round where she got way more points than anybody else, and a third round where she got a normal number of points, and she just killed us on that game. So the muddle can be really fun, but it is hard to do. I have also seen people try to get muddles, including Lynn again, where they try all game and can't do it, and then wind up losing really badly. So it is kind of a gamble. It can be really, really epic when it comes out, or it can be really really disappointing if you don't manage to get it. But that's how you play a game of Dastardly Dirigibles. So let's head back. I'm going to talk about how it feels. I'm going to review it and rate it, and we'll get a second opinion.
Okay, welcome back. That was how you play a game of Dastardly Dirigibles. I just wanted to point out real quick that I did misspeak a little bit when I was telling you how you win. I accidentally said I said that it was the largest score of the 3 rounds. It's not. You add all 3 round scores together and who has the most wins. So you add scores for round 1, round 2, and round 3 together. Whoever has the largest score wins. That's how you win the game of Dastardly Dirigibles. So now, I've played this about half a dozen times since we bought it. We bought this one at Gen Con this year from the Fireside Games booth. And this is a fun little game. I mean, at its core, it's a set collection game. You are collecting sets of cards to try to create a dirigible, a Zeppelin, an airship. And whoever creates their dirigible first ends the round. And whoever has the best combination of cards, the most of a single suit, or that elusive muddle, gets the most points. And you go on and you do 3 rounds of it, so it really comes to the average best score, if you will, that, because it's the cumulative score of all 3 rounds, wins the game. Now, this is a fairly simple game to learn. It's very quick, very easy to pick up. Doesn't have a huge amount of depth to it, and some people might not like that, but I think it's a fun game. I mean, it's simple, it's easy to get into, it's a great game for people who haven't played a lot of board and card games before, great to teach, might be a great entry-level game, if you will, because nobody starts out with someone who's never played a board game before and says, hey, let me teach you Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. Nobody does that, because you're immediately going to, and don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But the thing was, it wasn't my first board game. I had to learn quite a few other easy board games, entry-level board games, medium difficulty board games as I was growing up playing board games before I got to Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. So for Dastardly Dirigibles, this is kind of an entry-level game, and this is a really good entry-level game. It teaches some basic game mechanics that you'll need for more complicated games if you're learning the board gaming hobby. The set collection is an important game mechanic, and it also teaches you to analyze the value of different cards and make decisions about which ones you want and what you want to do, the value of different actions. So in that regard, if you're an experienced gamer, good quick filler game, medium amount of time, easy amount of rules, thrown in a game night while you're waiting for someone to show up, or you're playing it between longer, bigger games. If you're not a very experienced gamer, if you're more of a beginner gamer, great entry-level game. I like it. It's a lot of fun. I rate this game 7 out of 10 stars. Good fun game. I will play it anytime somebody asks. If someone is in the mood to play Dastardly Dirigibles, I'll never say no. It's a fun game. But let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Dastardly Dirigibles?
7.
So Lynn gave it 7 also, so we're actually in complete agreement on this game. So this is a solid 7-star game. So that's a 2 thumbs up review. There you have it. So do you have any comments you'd like to make? Comment down below. Any questions you'd like to ask about Dastardly Dirigibles? Do you want to point out anything I got wrong, or any questions about the game, or any questions about gaming in general? Go ahead, comment down below. And if you liked this video and you would like to see more like it, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, game on.